Okay, everyone, I hope you're enjoying your weekend, getting ready for work for tomorrow. That's what I'm doing. Either way, this little next YouTube video is about quick connect supply lines for your faucet, going from your shut-off valve, your stop, angle stop, straight stop, gate valve, going to your faucet. Okay, your bathroom faucet, kitchen faucets. I'm going to illustrate you a bathroom faucet and a couple of different things, and some of the different types are out there. I'm sure there are more than this, but these are some of the ones for you guys to get familiar with if you're not familiar with them. This is probably one of the oldest style. This one here, and they used to come in metal, not this plastic line like this. I've never really used these. I've reused them. They do work. I think there was less than a handful of times that I might have used something like this because it was what was lying around, and they worked just fine. I had no issue with them. You got your little crimp piece here, and you can use the nut from here and to tighten that down in place. Okay, this little brass one in here would be for a copper line, or one of the metal ones, one of the old school ones, metal. Okay, they still come like this. I believe you can still get these at a plumbing supply, but most people don't use these anymore. They tend to use the easier ones where they need less tools and they're a little faster to hook up. Okay, I don't even know what the name of this style is, so I apologize about that. It's not something I normally use. Here's a different style. It has a ratcheting, so when you get to a certain tension, it'll actually ratchets, letting you know you at the proper tension. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that in there. That is pretty wide, the surface area of that seal in there. So you don't have to over tighten these. A lot of people might tend to over tighten these, and you really don't have to. Okay, that's a different style. Here's another style. Here is metal on top. And you do have a couple of flanges here, and again you have a larger surface here. These are for toilets. Okay, and on the fill valve has a nice large surface here. These do not have to be over tightened. If they ain't leaking, they're fine. Okay, another toilet line. This is more in line of what most people get, what most people use. They tend to work really good, tighten up real fast, no issues. Faucet line, 1/2 inch here instead of 3/4 for the 7/8, excuse me, for the faucet. Okay, and then 3/8 quick connect on this side on most of them. Sometimes they come 1/2 inch, but that's not a norm from what I've seen. This one, I believe, if the line bursts, it's a shut off in here if there's too much pressure. You see some of these around. I've never really used these. Some people, where they have really cold places, they might want something like this. I do not like the plastic here. You can get cheaper ones in plastic. They can do fine, but I would prefer to find metal ones like that. Sometimes you can find cheap Chinese ones that look like metal and they're not. But all these are braided stainless steel. So these are all nice braided stainless steels. You want to stay away from these plastic ones if you can help it. Okay, they might be a few cents cheaper, but they're not worth it in the long run if you bust a line. Especially if you're not home or something like that. Less chance you're going to bust a line like this. Okay. My other thing with quick connects that I see a lot of people do, they make a mistake. They're going to put it on the shutoff valve. I'm not sure if it's necessarily a mistake, but I found it to be a mistake in my time that I install these. I will see people tend to take a wrench. I'm hoping I can illustrate it here. You can see it. And they will tighten this down. They either cramp it down a little too tight all the way until they smash it down, or this piece here will start to turn. Excuse me. This piece here will start to turn. You're trying to keep this from turning because you're trying to compress the rubber material in there, or the rubberized, probably petroleum-based material. It's probably not rubber. But you're trying not to score that or scratch it, or you're just trying to compress it down. So you're trying to keep this straight while you tighten this side. They're not there. I see a lot of people do that. They'll tighten this down and they'll keep this piece turning, and I've seen leaks actually happen because they don't keep this piece still. They don't hold it. Okay, so that's a good thing to remember. Okay. Okay. Some of the other tools I would use might be a channel lock. sometimes smaller one I like for the small nuts over here, and I'll use the larger one here if I'm putting one in place. Or for the faucet side, this one here, I will tend to use a basin wrench. See if I can illustrate some of that for you real quick and dirty, okay? Here's a faucet right here. We'll put it on by hand. Imagine you put this through your sink already, and you tighten your nuts with these larger guys right there, okay? And you're tightening your faucet on after you got your quick connect, after you got your faucet in place. Then you're going to get your basin wrench. This one is a Tecton. It came with this handle here that actually slid out for portability. I didn't like it, so I kind of smashed it in the vise, hit it with a hammer so it doesn't fall out. The rigid doesn't fall out, and I prefer it not to fall out. Okay. Got my camera in the way here. This would be to loosen it, and this would be to tighten it. So you have to learn how, and it's usually a tight spot. So this is where the basin wrenches come in handy. You have to learn how to get that around there, get that grip, and then tighten it. Okay. And when you're ready to let go, you just let it go. Okay. You can see how tricky it can get sometimes just to get that loose, excuse me. But that's basically how the basin wrench is used. And you flip the handle the other way if you want to loosen it. The areas are usually so tight you can't even get something like this in there. This was where a basin wrench would come in handy. This is a medium-sized head, not a large-sized head. The large-sized heads don't work that great for these smaller half-inch nuts that are threaded here. Okay? These medium-sized heads tend to work better than getting a large head. Alright, one last thing I guess I want to discuss real quick, since I'm making this video kind of short. A lot of times people might tend to use Teflon tape. There's some Teflon tape inside here in this bag. It came with the faucet. You can use Teflon tape here, but most people are finding today's date that you don't need it anymore if you install the Quick Connect properly without crushing. Because that washer inside there is actually pretty small, whatever that is, almost like an O-ring. So if you turn this nut around and this middle piece starts turning around, you can crush that. And you can actually cause a leak. Now you got to put a new supply line in. Okay, that's really the main purpose of this video. I'm showing you to keep this still while you tighten this piece. Okay, you do better that way. Another last thing. Some of the people might have saw this on the table when you're looking at that. I don't know what's going on there. Well, people in the field tend to know what's going on with that. Sometimes the shut-off valve don't work. Sometimes there's no shut-off valve for the location, whether it be apartment, house, condo, flat, whatever. And you got to shut off the line. This guy will save you. You're not trying to compress the line entirely, but you're trying to get enough to shut off the water. So you'll leave a little gap there on your vice grip. I just shut off that water. So quick and dirty until you can find out what else to do. You're flooding the house, you're doing whatever it is. There's a quick and dirty solution if you have to shut off the water. Okay? That's why that's on the table right there. I have to flatten it out again. That's okay to do on a stainless steel line. I have done it on this line one time. And I was nervous about it, but I had no choice at the time. I wanted to get that water off badly. So I did use a vice grip on this one time, and it held up just fine. Later on, we were able to get the water off. I had to change the line. I wasn't leaving the line that way, but it did work on this type of line, this plastic line at one time. Not so sure it'll work on a steel line. Actually, I don't think it will, because the walls are thinner. You need something like this, the rubber material that's in here, a little more thickness so it can actually shut it off. Okay, you guys got any suggestions, any ideas, how you do things differently? Because just because I do things a certain way doesn't mean it's right. It just means what's worked for me for the past. For instance, some people might say they put Teflon tape on everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I don't have anything else for you guys today. I do want to make a lot of plumbing videos this year because I haven't made very many. If you guys have any questions, you let me know, and I'll get back to you. All right? Bye.